Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And as always, here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. I need you to bear with me for a while because this video might be a little bit long. But I wanted to get this information out to you guys because it seems like nobody's covering this, especially the so-called news networks. Be afraid, but more important, be armed. Citizens will be the first line of defense against terrorists coming across our border. FBI Christopher Wray must be frustrated. He issued one of the strongest terrorism warnings this week. But as I mentioned, few seem to notice, and even fewer seem to care. Instead, the legacy media remain fixated on the testimony of former special counsel Robert H. Hur, who concluded that Joe Biden committed multiple federal crimes, but was too incompetent to stand trial. While Hur's findings were certainly newsworthy, they were not news. Most of the country already knew that Sleepy Joe's best days are already behind him. Wray's warning, however, was dire. He told the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that known or suspected terrorists were infiltrating the country across the wide-open southern border using counterfeit documents. One of the smuggling networks was tied to ISIS. Added to this, the thousands of unknown border crossers from countries that hate us, and the more than 80,000 military-age males from China. And you have a terrorist hellbroth just waiting to bubble over. Remember, this is coming straight from the FBI director. The threats from homegrown violent extremists, that is jihadist-inspired, extremists, domestic violent extremists, foreign terrorist organizations, and state-sponsored terrorist organizations, all being elevated at one time since October 7th. Though that threat has gone to a whole other level, Director Wray said. So this is a time, I think, for much greater vigilance. So it's not if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen. He's admitting it, they're here. And that shows you why we need the Second Amendment, to protect ourselves from something like this. We should thank Director Wray for his timely information, and for his candor. But most of us knew this was happening, but Director Wray finally gave us confirmation. This is precisely why we fought so long, and so hard to restore our Second Amendment rights, so that law-abiding Americans no longer have to bend a knee and beg the crown to sell them back their constitutional rights in the form of a permit to carry defensive arms. Constitutional carry levels the playing field, and in my opinion, so does an AR-15, making it easier for the good guys and gals to lawfully carry arms in the 29 states that now offer some form of constitutional carry. When a terrorist rears their ugly head, being they a card-carrying ISIS member or a lone wolf jihadist, Americans can take immediate action without waiting for first responders to arrive. Assess the situation, plan, and then respond. Time and time again we have seen how judicious marksmanship can end a madman's murderous plans. In 2015, an off-duty police officer shot two homegrown terrorists who were trying to gain entry at an exhibit at the Curtis Caldwell Center in Garland, Texas, which featured images of Muhammad. ISIL, the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, took credit for the attack, their first upon American soil. In 2019, 71-year-old Jack Wilson dropped a 43-year-old shotgun-wielding madman who had fatally shot two parishioners at the West Freeway Church of Christ in a Fort Worth suburb with a single shot to the head. In 2022, Elijah Dicken fired 10 rounds from his Glock at a madman who was shooting people inside an Indiana shopping mall. 8 of the 10 rounds struck the bad guy, who was 40 yards away. Dicken was carrying his Glock lawfully because of Indiana's recently enacted constitutional carry law. Despite these and many lesser-known examples, the left and the legacy media they control still consider an armed response by a private citizen a fantasy. Instead, they continue to push the laughable run, hide, fight response. Before I continue with the video, remember I said this video was going to be longer than usual. But like I said, it's important for everybody to know this. And please make sure you share this with the people that you love. One of the most important lessons learned after last year's Hamas attacks is that terrorists are capable of much better planning than most thought possible, especially paired with a state sponsor such as Iran. There is no reason to believe that a terrorist group would be even more prepared for an attack on American soil. Their target analysis will likely include the possibility of armed opposition. In other words, the terrorists are more likely to focus on a target where concealed carry is heavily regulated, if not impossible, and civilians have no option other than to run, hide, or fight. Despite our misgivings about the FBI and how it has been weaponized by the Biden-Harris administration, Director Wray's warning should not go unheeded. However, this is not now the time for paranoia. The main goal for terrorism is to terrorize. They want us to overact, change our lifestyle, and curtail our own freedoms. Instead, use this time Wray has given us to service or upgrade your EDC, or your Get Home bag, or whatever you have in your vehicle or in your home. Replace batteries, reconfirm zero, buy those extra mags you wanted. Most importantly, go to the range and train. In this economy, I know a lot of people might not have been doing that. Shoot up your old defensive ammo and replace it with new. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. And if you appreciated this video, please like, share, and subscribe and hit those post notifications. It helps the channel out and it helps it grow. There are 21 states that do not offer any form of constitutional carry, including several that make it nearly impossible for law-abiding Americans to defend themselves. This will prove to be a deadly mistake, and it must change. Once your EDC is prepped, please help make that change. Constitutional carry saves lives, and it should be the law of the land. Every American should enjoy their God-given right of self-defense, regardless of where they live. It may be the only thing that saves Americans when the next inevitable act occurs on American soil. The last thing that I'm going to tell you is just absolutely crazy, but ties in with exactly what I've been talking about. A U.S. district judge has ruled a gun ban for illegal immigrants is unconstitutional. The right to keep and bear arms is a natural right, meaning all free men and women have that right, regardless of where they are on the planet. It's part of why so many of us find other nations' gun laws so insulting. It's a repression of people's right to have weapons to defend themselves and their nation. A repression that goes out the window. In the face of a nation, it should be noted, but that brings about the question of illegal immigrants. Do they forfeit their rights when they enter the United States illegally? Or do they maintain their rights as they've not actually been convicted of a felony or anything else? For a long time, the official line is that they don't get to have guns, period. But yet a federal court has decided something quite differently. The Second Amendment protects the people's ability to own a gun even if they've entered the country illegally. That's the ruling handed down by U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman on Friday. She found the federal prohibition on illegal immigrants owning guns is unconstitutional. You have the FBI director telling us straight up there are known or suspected terrorists already in our country because of our open border policy. And now we have a federal judge saying it's unconstitutional for illegal immigrants to be denied a firearm. Now that ruling makes it much easier for the terrorists that are already in this country that have come across the open border to obtain guns they need to attack us here. And yet there is no coverage whatsoever. And I know most likely all of you, for a long time, have all the essentials you need to be able to protect yourself and your family and your property from criminals and terrorists that are in our country. I appreciate you watching this long video. But like I said, I think it's very important for people to get this information. And it's also important for you to share it so people know what exactly is going on. And as always, I appreciate your support with the channel. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.